organization. At this time, I'd like everyone who's on the board, and I'm going to start here, to stand up a little bit and just introduce yourself and say what you chair or co-chair. Starting with Mike.
My name is Mike Salaya. I'm the chair on our scholarship committee.
Hi, I'm Charlie Andrade. I'm the treasurer for the alumni.
I'm Ricky Hernandez. I'm the co-chair of the finance committee.
My name is Juan Soto. I'm the chair of the development committee.
My name is Janice Gallego, and I'm the chair of the special events committee. I'm Sarah Miranda. I'm the co-chair of the special events committee.
I'm Aaron Almada. I chair homecoming and Hispanic heritage under special events. I'm Jose Teran, and I'm communications officer.
Chris Dollar, membership chair. Pay your dues. Forms are outside.
I'm Patrick Bryan. I'm the co-chair for the scholarship committee.
I'm Lorenzo Chavez. I'm the co-chair for the awards and nominations committee.
Anybody on this left side? Board member? Sylvia?
Joe Vivas, and I co-chair for membership.
Support? Ex officio?
I'm Socorro Carrizosa. Excuse me, but you got me Spanish affairs. I'm so emotional for being here.
Monica Lujan, executive director for the U of A Hispanic Alumni.
And giving us some special help tonight is a former board member, Patsy.
I'm Patsy Klein, and I'm just the mop and room person.
She's going to take minutes for us tonight. Marty.
Marty Cortez, I chair the retention program. And Ben Mills is the other part of the Spanish student here.
Nobody else down there.
Patrick?
Patrick?
Oh, you what?
Patrick? We're going to go through this meeting through the packet that you have. Behind the agenda are the minutes from our main board meeting and our executive board meeting. For the board members, I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Ricky, second. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. At this point, I'd like Charlie Andrade, our treasurer, to present the treasurer's report.
Can you hear me? My report's going to be a couple of phases. I'm going to talk first about I have financial information through April 30th. It's where our financial statements are at this time. And I just wanted to provide you some highlights. I won't go through the detail that's there. Excuse me. Is that better? Yeah. Okay. I have to adjust it for my height. And so I'll just give you some highlights for April 30th. And I just want to share with you that we have done, since I began as a treasurer back in January of '09, I believe, we have worked together, the board has worked together to really work toward our management of our funds and really administering the funds that are available to us. And when I took over, some of the financial statements and that were not as easy to interpret, and we had some problems, not anything to be concerned about, but just the reporting side. So I've had an opportunity to look at it, and I have some trends and things that I've been monitoring in terms just to make sure we stay on target. But what I do want to share with you is that through April, we have received revenues from our budget of about 59% of our revenues have come in. And I know it's through April, and it's been a challenging year for everyone, given the market and employment and that type of thing. But I think for what we anticipated to raise revenues for, we were at 59% of our budget. Our budget was $109,000, and we received about $61,000 through April. And there were several areas that contributed. We did have two major donations that we received during the PO event last December. We received a $10,000 donation and a $5,000 donation. That was a very successful for us in terms of that event. We had not received that in quite a while in terms of that program that's happened, that's occurred in the past. Also, our special event, which raised about $37,000, it actually came in 81% of our annual budget. So that was very successful, and Portrait of Excellence was extremely successful in terms of its management of the revenues and expenses, and I owe that to Janice, that she managed that very well, thank you. And it actually contributed about $11,000 in proceeds, which we moved to the endowment. And we did the same thing last year. We raised about it was net proceeds about $16,000 for last fiscal year, and again, we did move those funds to the endowment. So I would say that we were pretty successful there. Expenses, we plan to expend about $104,000. To date, we spent about $60,000, so it's about 57% of our annual budget. And again, the primary area was in special events, which was about $40,000 that we expended, and I said is it was profitable by $11,000. Now, as far as what I think is going to happen year end, from a cash flow, here's where we've had some challenges, and that's again just continue for us to be successful in fundraising and sponsorship of our programs. But from a checking account balance, we're favorable until we, then when we move the funds to the endowment of $11,000, we become negative about $12,000. And the areas that we funded, that is important for all of you to know, that we continue to do this, and it was completely managed in the sense that we were very mindful about the expenses. But the retention program was funded out of the checking account proceeds of $3,600. And then homecoming, we were not as successful with raising proceeds there, and we thought possibly it was our location and that kind of contributed, but we had a loss there of about $2,200. We anticipated to break even, but we didn't have the sales and revenue in terms of ticket sales and food. Also, and just regular operations of the executive and board expenses that we incur, and that's again, we watch those very carefully. We're very committed to community outreach, and we try to manage that to the best we can with board approval and board input. So, and then we had a couple of expenses that came through this year that was for last year, some billings that didn't get paid, and so when that was about $5,000 we didn't plan, that some bills had not come through. So when I add all that up, it's about $18,000 that went through our checking account that wasn't supported by fundraising. And when I subtract the $6,000 that membership actually contribute, that's the only area that contributes positively, for raising the expenses we incur versus what we collect in renewals. If we take the $6,000 from the 18, we're back to the $12,000 deficit that we didn't that we'll incur for this year, based on lower fundraising. I understand that for next year we're hoping. I know we're probably maybe overachieving given the economy, but we're hoping that we're successful, huh, Diane? Want to share with you that scholarships, about $400,000. Are distributed every year. It comes from the tuition waiver from the university, that's $355,000, and then the interest we earn on the endowment, it contributes about $53,000. So right there's about $400,000 that the scholarship committee is responsible for ensuring that gets distributed to our students. Our current balances in our checking account as of April is $106,000 in our restricted account, which pretty much operates what I just reported. And we have a Bank of America account, which is about $4,500, and that is kind of an impress or account that we have that's been established for things that are not tax deductible that goes through there, such as our sales of merchandise and things like that. We deposit through those funds. So for fiscal year 11, we're proposing a revenue of $129,000. That's an 18% increase over this current year. It's primarily that pickup of that difference of $19,000 is in the fundraising area. So the development committee has a lot of pressure this coming year, to contribute those monies, or attempt to solicit those funds to help with the operations. Expenses, it's $82,000 we're planning next year. That's a $22,000 decrease from this year. It's a 21% decrease. And it's primarily in 3 areas. Again, it's Janice. I just recognized Janice. She was able to look at, most of our expenses are based on what we're projecting as our trends that we know what's been occurring for the last several years. And the reporting that I have been able to develop, along with Ricky, that helped me with that, is to provide the chairs a way for them to be able to manage their budget. But Poe was able to reduce $7,500 out of that, and I think part of that came from, but there's no band next year, right? The Celebration of Excellence in May luncheon, we reduced that by $3,100, and there was that had to do primarily with nominations and awards, and I think there was some discussion about reducing those expenses and realigning them in a different way. And then Hispanic Heritage, that's a decrease of $2,500, so the total is $1,300, which accounts for that difference in next year's expenses. And Hispanic Heritage, I think there's some difference. I mean, some of the way it's going to come together, right, Janice? I mean, that's why the expenses are different there in the way it's going to come together.
The Thursday night game as opposed to a Saturday game.
And with Poe next year, the Portrait of Excellence, to contribute $37,000 proceeds, so that our plan hopefully that we would move that to the endowment next year. So we're anticipating a projected surplus to replenish the checking account after all these expenses and move to the endowment, $9,300 to the checking account. So that completes my report. Thank you very much.